So I want to start with Cersei. I think that was one of the two things that really worked this episode. Now, Cersei's arc, she's always had her defenders who say, look, she's just a mama bear, and she loves her cubs, and everything she does is kind of justified. She's not really easy. She just loves her children so much. But this episode has just driven home her complete isolation and her complete lack of any family. She's the Walter White at this point, where she's constantly consumed by this idea of defending her family and defending her loved ones. But by being so ruthless in the defense of her family, she's completely alienated and lost any family that she might have had. And you see her just completely alone. She's got Qyburn, this kind of Mephistopheles character, but then everyone else, just these faceless guards covered with their helmets, and they don't even say anything. So she's just completely isolated. Similar to, it reminds me a bit of like Anakin Skywalker. Remember in Star Wars, Anakin, he was so scared of losing Padme that he did everything he could to try to save her and try to make sure she was safe, but in the end became so monstrous that he just pushed everyone else away. And that's similar to where Cersei is now, where she has no one, she has Euron. And this is what I didn't love about the Cersei part of the episode, was I feel like Cersei, I expected better from her. I thought she was just kind of using him, understood him to be very clownish, and was just purely manipulating him. And it seemed like even with them sleeping together, she was really just using him for sex. But then she started paying him compliments and even, complimented his arrogance, said, you're not boring. And it seemed like she was showing some degree of chemistry and feelings. And I don't think that was necessary. I think you could have kept it, I expected better of Cersei, even letting herself be alone with him. She said, oh, you love, sticking your neck out and, putting your life on the line. Well, so is she, putting her life on the line. She's done so much to secure her position on the Iron Throne and make sure that, she's safe and secure in that position. Why would she risk it all by being alone with this caveman who she doesn't know what he's going to do? He could easily, clunk her on the head and then try to take the Iron Throne for himself. He's impulsive. So I thought Cersei, I liked seeing just her isolation from everyone else, and it should drive home that point that, she is the Walter White, the Michael Corleone, if you think of The Godfather, someone who has, spent her life caring about, I gotta protect my family, I gotta do everything for the family, sacrifice, ruthlessness, and then at the end of it, you look around and there is no family. And Euron as a character, I've mixed feelings. On the one hand, I like it because it's a different kind of evil than we've seen. We've seen Joffrey as this kind of sadistic, but also impulsive and insecure evil. Ramsay, just pure cruelty, sadism, and then Tywin is kind of the cold, calculating evil. So we've seen these different kinds. Euron's kind of just this old school caveman, just kind of happy to be here, just doesn't really think too much or get bogged down with any kind of morality. So it's an interesting evil because we haven't seen it before, but it also can't help but feel like a letdown when compared to these other characters that we've seen in the past, the Tywins, the Joffreys, the Ramsays. So to end out the season, this final season where we only got 6 episodes, to devote so much to this kind of buffoonish, cartoonish evil, it's an interesting choice. In some ways, I'm surprised the show's going to go with it. But anyways, the other thing I really, really liked was they got really early to Sam telling Jon, you're the true king. I thought they were going to drag in that out for like 3 or 4 episodes at least. So the fact that they got right to that, and we're setting up this contrast between Jon and Daenerys, who would be a better ruler. And the biggest difference, I think, between them is the issue of humility. Now, Jon, he's always thought he's illegitimate and a bastard, so he's always had this kind of humility just baked into him, and immediately he joins the Night's Watch, and part of their vow is, I will wear no crowns. That's interesting that that's a part of their vow, and, I will win no glory, I will hold no land. So just for him, just humility, and even in the Night's Watch, he doesn't immediately become a ranger, he has to serve as the Lord Commander's, servant, so he's had such a life full of just being humble. And with Daenerys, it's almost the complete opposite. Ever since her brother dies, she's been the rightful heir, and she's believed she's the rightful heir. And then her dragons and her ability to control them, that just seems like more confirmation that yes, she was born for this. Yes, she's destined for it. So you've just seen, on the one hand, one person who's never thought they were destined for it, and their whole life has never been seeming to lead to a kingship. And then all of a sudden they're just told out of the blue, you're the true king. On the other hand, you have someone who's believed their whole life, and everything that's happened, her raising her army, everything going her way, everything seemed to confirm her belief that yes, this is her destiny, and all of a sudden she's going to be told, no, it's actually not, is just a fascinating parallel. Parallel's not the right word. Fascinating contrast. And it's interesting, which makes a better king? Someone who has great humility and someone who doesn't really feel like they deserve to be king, or someone who always has this 100% self-confidence and belief in their self and that they're the best king? And there's arguments for both sides. Now, Daenerys, just this self-confidence and this belief and this never wavering, I believe she couldn't have got to where she is without it. No one would have followed her. She needed this kind of almost supernatural, like divinely ordered, just divine right of kings, you know, from medieval times for people to fall in line behind her. Obviously dragons helped, but I think also just her confidence and her always acting like the queen and always acting like this is her birthright, it certainly helped people fall in line. And then, but on the other hand, Jon, with his humility, there's this idea that, you know, maybe the people that think they're the least deserving of power, maybe they're actually the most deserving of power. So I think it'll be interesting to see which way this falls upon. Now, I gotta get to what I didn't like. I do think that this bodes badly for how it's gonna end up. I think basically a lot of the season is just gonna be preparing for one big battle, probably two big battles, and these little, you know, reunions, which I thought fell a bit flat. Arya, I don't know why she seemed so, like, weird and cold, and like Arya's just always been such a likable character. She's always had this warmth and this twinkle in her eye. She just seemed so, like, just cold, and that's the best way I can describe it. And I guess, you know, she did this training, and I guess maybe that's changed her, but it also seemed like she rejected her training, so I don't know why she's acting so cold. And I think it spoiled these two reunions, which should have been really fun, her and the Hound, and then her and Gendry. And it's just Arya's just acting, and her coldness just spoiled them a bit for me. And then the rescue where Theon rescues his sister, terrible. That was just it just felt like, oh, we need these 6 things to happen at some point in season 6 because we kind of set them up, or some point in season 8 because we set them up in season 7. This is the first one, so we won't show it. There's no great action sequence. It's just Theon shows up and they're rescued. She headbutts him, which is kind of fun. But nonetheless, that just felt really lazy and just somewhat inconsequential, and that was disappointing. I just felt like a lot of and I'm worried that it bodes poorly for the rest of the season, where a lot of the season is just going to feel like box ticking. Oh, well, we only have a few episodes left. We need these characters to reunite. We need these characters to have some witty back and forth, and another part of box ticking was riding the dragons. Now, I think that Jon and Daenerys actually, they look really cool together, and we open the episode where Jon's looking all rugged with his fur, and she's looking very elegant in the white, and like they look really, I think they look better riding into battle together or marching together than they do, you know, doing the other thing together. But it would be really cool to see them ride into battle together, both on dragons. So like I'm not opposed to that happening, but it just seemed like a waste to have, you know, I know people will like it, but them flying around and it's kind of goofy and he doesn't know how to ride. It just seemed like, again, it's just fan service. It's just box ticking rather than trying to set up any kind of interesting conflict in this season. And I guess going into it, like George R.R. Martin, if you look at what the series was at least originally probably supposed to be about, he always said it's not supposed to be the external battle between, you know, a good army and evil army. It's about the conflict, you know, in the human heart and how people, you know, have these complex motivations, and that's the real battle. And I just feel like we're gonna lose that, and there's not gonna be any of that. And when Sir Davos, he's like watching Jon and Daenerys, and he's like, you know, what if the kingdoms were actually ruled by a just man and an honorable woman? And it's like, that's exactly what George R.R. Martin wanted to like rebel against, this idea that all you have to do to have peace is just get the right person in charge who's somewhat competent and cares. He said that all his studies of history showed him that no, you can have people who are well-intentioned and really want the best for their citizens, and they're also competent, but there's still problems because, again, there's these trade-offs you always have to make between love and honor and duty and vengeance and mercy, and even, you know, the most competent people who mean the best, that's not enough. There's the nitty-gritty of politics, and there's always just, you know, the great tragedy of trade-offs. So I think that I really hope that they try to at least stay a little true. I know it's, you know, you don't have to, but I would love for them to try to stay true to George R.R. Martin, his somewhat original message of the books. I think the most interesting line was Sam's line when he says, look, to Jon, you gave up your crown to save your people. Do you think that she would do the same? Daenerys would do the same? And I don't think she would. I think that would be an interesting twist if she actually did end up sacrificing and giving up her crown, which all her life, or at least since her brother died, she's believed it's her birthright and has been just her driving force. To see her give that up, that would be a huge sacrifice. So that would be interesting to see the show go that route. I don't think they're gonna do it. I think it'll be really interesting. So the sneak peek we got next episode, I never put together, Jaime and Daenerys. They've always been separate, their storylines. So I've just never put together. Of course, he murdered her dad, and then last season we knew Jaime was gonna go north to meet up with him. So I should have put together that they were gonna have this explosive clash, and I guess we'll see that next episode. I don't think it's that suspenseful. It'll be a good scene, but I don't think it's that suspenseful. She's not actually gonna kill Jaime. They're gonna make peace about it. Similar thing with Bronn. I forgot when I talking about Cersei, who she still got on her team. Randomly, Bronn is still the only one that is still with her. And when Qyburn's trying to, say you have to kill Tyrion with the crossbow, it's not suspenseful because Bronn, he's been a good guy the whole time we've seen him. He's always been a likable character. They're not gonna have him actually kill Tyrion, so it seemed like another part of the episode I didn't like, just to kind of fake suspense. So I was a little disappointed with the episode, only because we've only got 6 episodes, so we're so close to the end now. I just want every episode to be great. I don't think this one was great, so it is a bit of a letdown, but there were still things that worked, and hopefully episode 2 is a little better though.